Hey guys, I wanted to make this video to specifically talk about the Nexus 6's battery life and my experience with it. Now let me start off by saying that comparing battery life between users is pretty much impossible. Just because one person gets 7 or 8 hours screen on time on a device does not mean you will as well. There's just way too many usage pattern differences and other factors, things like Wi-Fi usage, 3G usage, brightness settings, location settings, loads of different things that can really change the way your battery life works on your device. So really all I can tell you is my experience with it, and I can compare it with my previous device, the Nexus 5. Now let me just tell you a little bit about the Nexus 6 here. It has a 3220 milliamp hour battery, which is pretty beefy, but you do have to remember it is powering a massive display, 5.96 inches, and it's also running Quad HD as well, so it has a fair amount of pixels to push over 1080p, which is of course going to impact the battery life. Now, in terms of my usage, I do a lot of video watching, things like Plex, a lot of YouTube, XDA, a lot of WhatsApp, a lot of Chrome, and just tons of social networking. I don't really play any games or things like that, so of course if you do play games, that's very heavy on the CPU and GPU. That is going to affect your battery life. In terms of everything else, like location settings, they are on high. I've got my Google Now running fully. Location settings, as I said, on high. I've got the always listening on when the screen's off. All that is on. I have been using 3G exclusively for 3 or 4 days now. You can see I've used quite a bit of data right there. I do have unlimited, so don't worry. I haven't used Wi-Fi, but I do have the Wi-Fi always scanning available. And in terms of the software, I'm running stock ROM and stock kernel, but I am rooted. So there's no real kind of benefit in battery gain just from rooting. I'm not using things like Greenify or anything like that. I should mention I do have ambient display off. That's the thing when you pick up the device and it lights up when you have a notification. The reason I have that off is because I just prefer the double tap to wake, which you can see right here. That's just a preference thing. I just prefer it. So you're probably looking at this battery percentage right here and going, oh my god, it's only 1253 and is down to 16%. And yeah, that looks a little bit scary, but let me show you the graph and all will be explained very, very soon. So we'll open it up here. You'll see I have 16% left, but it's been completely off the charger. You can see there's no charge here for over 24 hours. It's lasted me a completely full day and nearly half of the next one. Now it's not going to get me through the next one, that's for sure. I'm going to have to plug it in pretty soon. But Google touts the Nexus 6 as being up to 24 hours battery life. I've actually got over that on this specific charge. Of course, that's not going to be like that on every charge. It's very usage dependent, as I've already said. If we go back and check out the screen on time, you see the screen on time isn't even in the top 3, but screen is 4th. There we go, and you can see I've got 3 hours and 43 minutes. Now when you take that stat just by itself, it's not that impressive, but when you couple it with over 24 hours of usage, then it's actually pretty impressive in my book. Comparing this to the Nexus 5, this completely blows it out the water for me. My Nexus 5 couldn't even compare. Towards the end with Lollipop, I had to plug it in twice a day just to get through an entire day. The Nexus 6 does not have that problem at all. You can see from better battery stats, I've been off the charger for 1 day, 4 hours, 52 minutes. And it's got a drainage of 2.9% per hour. That's pretty low. I've been seriously impressed with the battery life on the Nexus 6 here. Some people have been struggling getting 2 or 3 hours. Some people on XDA are getting 6 to 7 hours. So like I said, it's just usage dependent, depends on signal strength and so many different factors. But for me, like I said, I've been super impressed. And don't forget, this does come with a turbocharger. So when you're down to like the 12 or 15%, so you can actually plug it in for 15 minutes and it will charge. I tested this, it charged to about, I'd say 38%. And Google says that's going to give you 6 hours of battery life. That does not mean 6 hours of screen on time. It means 6 hours of normal phone usage time. So just take that into account. For me, that's coming from a Nexus 5. Like I said, I was struggling on the Nexus 5 to get 2 hours screen on time with 13 hours off the charger. So for me and my usage, this is completely blowing it out of the water. Now on the usage I'm showing you right here with this day and a half, I'd say my usage was around light to moderate. But even on my heavy usage days, and of course heavy is subjective, it still gets me through the day without a problem. I'd say I average around 16 hours off the charger and about 4.5 hours to 5.5 hours screen on time. So I haven't had to plug in my Nexus 6 once during the day yet, so it hasn't struggled to get me through the day with my usage, and I haven't had to baby the usage either, so it's been just fantastic for me. I've also got the GSAM battery monitor installed here. You can see the screen on averages at the bottom is 4.5 hours and the battery life is around 18 hours. So that pretty much goes with exactly what I said there. You'll see here that my Wi-Fi active is saying 28 hours. I can promise you I was on 3G the entire time. It's just because I have that Wi-Fi always scanning because, you know, that works better for things like Google Now and all that good stuff. So there you go guys, that's how the Nexus 6 has fared with my usage. Let me know what you think. Peace out.